Well, as the rates for chronic stress continue to rise, people are looking for ways to find relief and regain a sense of balance in their lives. And one key is actually to work on perhaps reducing your cortisol levels. Joining us to discuss some steps you can take, Stanford School of Medicine, former professor and physician and best-selling author, Dr. Greg Hammer. Dr. Hammer, great to have you on the show again. Thanks so much for joining us. Good to see you.
Great to see you, Karen.
Yeah, this is a big one. The stress hormone, of course, that's the fight or flight. It's one of those hormones. So it's an important one, but if you have it for too long and it's too elevated, it can cause some problems, right?
Yes, absolutely. So cortisol is a very interesting hormone. It is secreted by glands that sit on top of our kidneys. The signal for release of cortisol comes from the brain. Quite an eloquent system, actually, that regulates cortisol levels, as with most of the hormones or all of the hormones in our body, all of which can go awry. And I think, unfortunately, one of my favorite comedians, Amy Schumer, is afflicted with an excess cortisol condition. But cortisol as part of acute stress is really important. It helps prepare us to, as you said, fight or flee. It bumps our blood sugar. And in combination with adrenaline, which is also part of that acute sympathetic response, stress response, increases blood flow from our heart. And so increased blood flow to our muscles with increased sugar to our muscles helps us fight or flee. But
if it's there too long, right, and it stays too elevated because of stress or you're not taking care of your health or other things, it can lead to more serious health problems, right? Like what?
Absolutely. Well, I would define resilience as the ability to normalize that acute stress response, so to bring those cortisol levels down to baseline. And if we're not resilient and we experience acute stress, it can become chronic. And chronic elevation in cortisol levels leads to a lot of those things that we see in Amy, unfortunately. But they include bone loss, muscle wasting, this round face, maybe weight gain. A number of other things. They predispose us to infection and even cancer because it's an immune suppressant drug, and that's why some people have too much cortisol. They're actually taking it exogenously for an inflammatory disorder. So
right.
Very important hormone.
I'm sorry, but we just have such limited time, and I want you to give us a few tips because I want to direct people to check out your book too, because it's Gain Without Pain, the Happiness Handbook. But some of these tips we have on the screen now to soothe chronic stress have to do with sleep and vitamins and exercise, getting outdoors.
Absolutely. So when we're stressed, our sleep tends to suffer, and often then we pick up sugary and fatty so-called comfort foods, and we get a bump in energy, but then we crash. We're too tired to exercise. So these things are very closely interrelated. So when we're feeling chronically stressed, it's a time to really focus on good sleep hygiene, our exercise regimen at a minimum, just get out and go for power walks, and really focus on clean eating, maybe more of a plant-based diet. So really important to focus on our physical well-being, especially when we're stressed.
Right. Well, it's Gain Without Pain, the Happiness Handbook, and the Mindfulness Doctor. And it's great to have you with us today, Dr. Hammer, and hopefully people will check out your book for some more detailed information. Great information as always, and always enjoy talking to you. Thanks for being here.
Likewise, Karen, anytime.